Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome folks, Today the Hungry Gamer is back with another game review, and today we're talking about Star Tycoon, designed by Peter and Alkira Sanderson with art by Michael Dickinson and published by Good Games Publishing and Warp Core. And I do apologize if I mispronounced any of those names. Now, what this game is this is a engine building, tableau building type of game in which you are trying to build up basically the best corporation in order to have the most points at the end of the game. And at its core, you're going to be spending resources to buy different cards and putting different developments onto the planets that you buy. And in the middle here, we have this market for goods that's going to go up and down. And there's a few other little things here and there, but that is how the game is going to be played overall. And of course, thank you to Good Games Publishing for giving me this copy to make this video. Now, if you are not interested in how this game is played and just want to jump into my final thoughts, then you want to go to the timestamp on the screen right now. For those of us still here, let's talk about how this game is played. And whether you're playing at 1, 2, 3, or 4 players, the game itself is going to play out basically the same way. So I will just do a quick overview of how it's going to work for a single player. So to start the game, each player is going to be given a starting homeworld and one of many different starting companies. And each one of these companies will start you out with different resources over here and will have a different power as well as a different way to earn points at the end of the game. And the way you earn those points will be based on the type of planets that you get or the type of developments that you get, etc., etc. Then the last thing that you'll get is you'll get one of these Omniforges. And you will take that Omniforge and you will start out with that on your particular planet, like so. And let's talk about this planet for just a moment. What this is telling you here is that you can build 3 different things on it, and that if at the end of the game across your entire galaxy you are producing the most fighter ships, you're going to get 3 points. And what the Omniforge here is saying is if I take this action, I'll be able to get a blue resource and a credit. And you'll have these cards just kind of set up in your own little tableau just over like so. And on your turn, you're going to get to take 3 actions. And there's a variety of different actions that you can do. The first thing that you can do is you can purchase a card. And you can get any of these planets or any of these developments. And the cost for the planet or the development will be on the top left corner of the card. So if I wanted to buy this planet here, it would cost me 1 fighter. And then I would simply place it in my tableau like so. And then at the end of each round, it will refresh like so. Now I could also buy developments, and the levels 1, 2, and 3 simply refer to how expensive they are, which you can see again on the top left, and how valuable they're going to be as well in regards to what it is that they're going to provide. So perhaps I want to build this one right here. Well, I could do that, and that would cost me a brown resource and a credit. And then I could take that, and I could slot it onto any of my planets. And if you look closely, you'll see down at the bottom here, it's telling you how many developments each planet can have. Some can have fewer than others. Now in this case, this particular planet is going to be 4 points at the end of the game if on this planet I'm producing 3 blue resources. So placing this one here is not really a good play because that's going to produce 1 green, but to just show you how it works, that is something that I could do. Another option that I have is I can take my Omniforge, and that is that starting ability that has this little house symbol on it right down here. Let me push that up. And that is your starting ability that has the little house symbol. So in this case, that would get me 1 blue resource and 1 credit. I can do a reserve action, which simply means I can take any of these 1 or 2 pip developments or a planet and take that and just put it into my reserve on the side of my tableau, meaning I'm the only person who's going to be able to build that, and I can take a purchase action later, and instead of buying something from up here, I could build something from my reserve. The next action you take is called the smuggle action. And the smuggle action is activated on a certain type of development. And you'll see it has this symbol in the top right. And what that says is when you take the smuggle action, you can perform the action down on the bottom. And the smuggle action allows you to perform the actions of two different developments. You're actually able to use another player's development, though of course to do that you'll have to pay them a coin in order to take the smuggle action that they have in their tableau. Next you have the refresh action, which simply means you can wipe a row and replace it. At any time you can always take a loan, which simply means you're going to get 5 credits, and of course you're going to lose money every round until you've paid it back. And then there is the trade action. And to me, this is where the meat of the game is. You're going to be allowed to trade in any 2 different goods here on the market. And it's simple, the value of each good is right up here. So let's say I decide to do a trade, and first thing I want to do is I want to get some more gas, the green. So I will pay 1 coin, and let's say for the sake of argument that the research here was already all the way over there. I could buy 1 for 3 coins, or I could sell 1 and gain 3 coins, which I could then use somewhere else. And then since I did a sell action, this would move over that way, like so. And you can take as many of the trade actions as you want, but in any given turn, you can only trade in each type of good 1 time. So there is no purchasing them very cheaply and then moving up and then selling them. That's not something that you can do on 1 turn. Then once everybody has taken their turn, you will move up the turn marker. Now this is going to matter because every time you get to one of the exclamation marks, you're going to draw a new event. And each event is going to be different. In this case, moving day would allow people to move around their developments, which is not something that you can do. Or you might have something like this. During this round, the planet and development rows of each have 4 cards rather than 3, so everyone would get a 4th option of developments and planets. Or perhaps it is something like this, rocket science, where each player may choose to gain 2 purple or 2 green resources, and you get the idea. The other thing that actually happens though is you get to produce your goods. And as you are looking at your planets, you'll notice that sometimes you'll be getting developments on there that have these blue boxes. You will also note that your OmniForge has a blue box as well. And any goods in your blue box, every time you draw an event, you will also then gain all of those resources. And this is important because at the end of the round, which is every 3 turns, you're going to have to discard back down to 7 total resources. And there's a little bit more that goes on here, but that's the core of how this game works. So what do I like about this game? The first thing is it's just constant hard choices to make. In the 12 turns you're going to take, I don't know, you might wind up with 2 or 3 easy choices, but even those easy choices are on the way to do a hard choice. Like, okay, well, I have to do an OmniForge because I need to get these materials. But of course, you're using those materials to pick a card to buy, and that can be really, really hard. It's never an easy choice, and I think that makes for a really interesting gameplay loop, especially in a game that is quick. It is a quick game. It is a 40-minute game. I guess maybe an hour if you played with max player count. I don't know. I appreciate that it's a very easy game to kind of understand, but within those simple, easy choices, there's a lot of decision space. There's a lot of ways you can go, and as I've already mentioned with the hard choices, I think that makes for a game that is definitely more than the sum of its parts. I also really do like the different powers that each company gives you. I think they're subtle, but each of those powers, while not grossly overpowered, they do feel unfair, and that's the kind of player power that I like. Now, for me, I kind of wish that they were crazy overpowered. I find that more fun, but they are unique, they are all interesting, and depending on how you play, they are very powerful, so I love that. However, what I think is probably the best part of the game is the way resources work. It is perfectly timed to where you finish that 3rd turn, you have usually not a lot left. Sometimes you may be trying to hold out and get something, you have to discard a few resources, but that influx of resources is almost perfect every time. Just when you feel like you can't do anything else, boom, produce. You get a bunch of stuff, and I think it's just really, really good. Also, along with that, the market is exceedingly simple, but also I think really well calibrated, because it gets to the far right, and if you need the thing that's there, it is painful, just painful to get something, but sometimes it's just what you gotta do, and it hurts to do, which I think is absolutely right. Also, as one
commodity moves far to the left, it becomes an opportunity play. It's like, well, I don't really need these, but gosh, I can get 3 for 1 coin? Yeah, I'm going to do that and figure out how to use it later. So I think the market is just very simple, but I think it works really, really well. Also, along with that, I think the way that you're flipping the little pieces over to mark what you've used or not used each round, I think works really well. I think it's just a nice little quality of life upgrade that they give you. And also, I appreciate you can keep going back to the market, but you can't speculate in the same thing. If you're going to speculate, you have to do something now and then sell it later. And I think that works really well as well. I also like the way that you are constantly changing your own scoring objectives. You are constantly trying to fill these planets. You're constantly trying to get things that you need, which might not fill a planet. So maybe you just get another planet out there that you're going to throw away that scoring objective. You just put some development on there. But you're constantly changing what you are looking for. And everyone can see what you're looking for. And I just really like that, because sometimes, like, oh my gosh, these are the resources I have. Well, I can get this development, which is useless to me. So I go, oh, but I guess I should just go buy this planet over here. And I think that, combined with the events that come out that just mix things up a little bit in good or bad ways, I think is just works really, really well. I also think it's worth noting that the solo is very interesting. It's not a play against a bot, but it is a little bit different in that each turn you're going to be choosing the card you get rid of, which is going to mess with the market. So it's almost like a puzzle. And it's not even a beat your own score. It's a get this score and do this thing. It's very, very interesting. It's like a challenge type solo. And it's not something that I would say get it just for the solo. But if you have it and you're going to play multiplayer, also play the solo. And I'm just going to finish this part up by just saying this game feels to me like Furnace with a little more meat to it. And that's because of the moving market. And if you are a fan of the channel, you know I like Furnace a lot. And I think this one is right up there with it. Now, what are my quibbles with the game? The first thing is there are a couple of cards that when you buy them, you draft them, it'll have a take that effect. It'll be steal something. And there's just a few. I don't know. In the games I've played, I think it's come up 3 times. And to me, if you are going to have take that, it needs to be more regular. Because when take that just shows up once or twice, it's just kind of a bad feeling. It's like, oh, I got this card. Well, I guess I'm taking one of your things. Oh, did that ruin your whole next turn? Too bad. And every time that, in our games at least, it got used, it was an afterthought. Like, we never bought the card for the steal. We bought the card for something else to fulfill a scoring goal, and then steal. And yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't quite seem to fit in the game. It's gonna take that stealing that's going on, even to the point that I might try to house rule into something else, because it just doesn't seem to fit everything else of the game that is so tight. I'm also gonna say, this game has a bit of farce in it, in the best kind of way. I wish it leaned harder into it. You look at some of the factions, and it's like the tax accountant, there's a Ferengi-looking thing, there's raccoons that are just taking stuff from other people. I wish it leaned harder into it, in the gameplay, and the art, and it does lean into it a bit, but I think it could go even harder. And the only other thing I'm going to say is, and this is going to sound weird as a quibble, I think this is a good game that is one expansion away from being a fantastic game. I really enjoy this. And just like with Furnace I thought that expansion, the Antebellum expansion, just, I'd never want to play without it. I don't know what the expansion needs to be for Star Tycoon, but I think, I just feel like it's one thing away from being fantastic. So, there you have it, folks. That is Star Tycoon. This is a game that is not leaving. I'm holding on to this thing. It is small. My wife adores it. I like it a lot. It's just a really fun little game. And I'm very impressed by what I've seen, what I've learned from this game. And I have to say, this is one that has really surprised me. I was going to see Good Games Publishing at Gen Con, and they asked me if there's anything I wanted to cover. And this was the only one that stuck out to me. I was like, you know what? Yeah, something about this. I don't usually like space. I don't necessarily like market, but something about it just kind of grabbed me. I was like, I want to cover this one. And I couldn't even put my finger on why. But clearly I was right, because it's very, very fun. I'm really glad I have it. I hope that expansion comes. Hint, hint, Mr. Breebach, make it happen. And I'm just really, really looking forward to playing more of this and seeing what comes down the pipe. So there you have it, folks. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.